High school boys and girls are having a hop at the local soda fountain. Innocently, they dance. Innocent of a new and deadly menace lurking behind closed doors. Marijuana, the burning weed with its roots in hell. In this film, you will see the ease with which this vicious plant can be grown in your neighbor's yard, rolled into harmless-looking cigarettes, hidden in an innocent shoe or watch case.
If you want a good smoke, try one of these.
You will meet Bill, who once took pride in his strong will as he takes the first step toward enslavement.
Of course, if you're afraid.
Smoking the soul-destroying reefer, they find a moment's pleasure, but at a terrible price. Debauchery, violence, murder, suicide, and the ultimate end of the marijuana addict. Hopeless insanity. See this important film now, before it is too late.
Yeah. Hey, what's happening, people? 99%, what's going? And you know the 1% here too, so. What's happening, 1%? How you, 1% of 1%? Well, you got the 1% here, they don't have a voice, so. But the 1% of the 1%, they got a real good voice. How y'all doing today? Y'all doing blessed? I know y'all blessed. So first, let me apologize to my people. I'm sorry, I absolutely could not post a video yesterday. I could not go live. My butt was hurt. Y'all got this thing called butt hurt? I was butt hurt. Whoever decided to put whatever they call a sciatica in a booty, bad idea. Bad idea. I'm sorry. I know. Get in trouble with God and microbiology, Buddha, Allah, whoever made us, whatever made us. But it was a bad idea to put a sciatica in a booty because I was booty hurt. I was like brother back there next to Lieutenant Dan. I felt a shirt. I don't know how it happened. I think I was two things. Either I sat on something the wrong way, or okay, I'll be honest, I slipped on some ice. I think I was going out to the car. We are buried under snow here. If you're around the world and y'all got some nice weather, well, I'm happy for you. We've been buried under ice. It's been like, it barely got to freezing in the last 2 weeks. And so I went out to the car, and you know how you do that slip thing, and the next thing you know, your feet above you. I grabbed the car handle, but I think I hit something. So anyway, getting old, this is what happens to you. You start to get old. Things don't work how they're supposed to. So I was booty hurt yesterday. I'm not even talking about that. And so I usually do what I do when I get hurt. I do not take drugs. I do not take drugs. When growing up as a kid, we had this a commercial, and it had a little egg in a frying pan, and they would take the frying pan and they would put the egg in there and it start boiling and popping and say, "This is drugs, and this is your brain on drugs." And so I don't want my brain to be on them kind of drugs, and so I don't take any painkillers or anything. Sounds crazy, but as crazy as it is, as it sounds, the reality is, for the majority of human evolution, we dealt with our pain. We had this weird stuff called cannabis. We had this stuff called kratom. We had all these natural dried plants that y'all like to put people in prison for. And so we would take that, and that would deal with the pain, wouldn't cause any side effects. No epigenetic flipping of genes, nothing like that. And the next day you'd be up and at it. So yesterday, what did I have to do? I just had to deal with the pain. It's called being a man. It's called being a man. It's called also, I don't want to deal with the side effects. So yesterday, I just sat there and cried a little bit, get my tears, because I'm not going to prison for no damn dried plant because y'all stupid. Not y'all, not y'all. The people who write these laws. So that was Reefer Madness. That was a good beginning to that. But that was kind of what yesterday was for me. Just kind of sat there in pain. You know, you just sit there and you deal with it, and the next day it's gone. It's what our ancestors always do, and it's what we got to do until we actually get some sense back in our laws. But anyway, that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the war on poo today, because a lot of things happened in the news while I was away crying in my bed. So I'm going to go to the poo hole. I'm going to go down to the poo hole. How y'all doing this morning? I need to see who we got this morning. We got Brother Jimmy and Mary. And hey, good morning, Sandra and Renee. Yes, sciatica is the worst, girl. Ooh, I was I was crying. No position worked. I couldn't sleep. Barely got any sleep. So I was done. There was no way I was going to make a video and put a smile on my face. And I'm always going to smile, because even when some pain takes my joy, sister, I'm not going to let anybody know my joy is going nowhere. So, all right, Sister Betty and Lisa and Rebecca and Debbie and a whole bunch of other folks. It looks like we got a quorum this morning, so we can talk about some war on poo. The heck am I talking about war on poo? Well, I think everything comes down to this war on poo. Let me see if I can help you explain it better. It's Friday, so we might get in a little bit of trouble today. Hopefully y'all bear with me, because I was kind of thinking about this. Let me see if I can pull this up for you. I saw this in the news this morning. I didn't know where these names come from, but somebody, in watching the news, I realized our biggest problem is we are fighting a war on poo. We are fighting a war on poo all over the world, and that's why we're in trouble. So let me take you to this clip. Oh, goodness. Let me show you. Because, and I have to say poo because I can't say the other word. That's my indoctrination. I just don't believe in talking like that. Very rarely will you catch those words coming out my mouth. But let me see. This is what I want to show you right here. I hate looking at these silly commercials. That's why I'm not going to let you bear with it. So hold on. Here we go. Right here. We fighting a war on poo, y'all.
On lawmakers to find a compromise on immigration reforms, a small bipartisan group of 6 senators say they've done just that. The agreement was expected to include funding for border security, protections for undocumented immigrants brought to the U.S. as children, and changes to the way the State Department approves visas. But in a private meeting, a proposal to restore protections to immigrants from Haiti, El Salvador, and certain African countries who were until recently protected from deportation reportedly prompted the president to question, why are we having all these people from shithole countries come here?
So I got stopped. You know what? Okay. I don't talk like this. However, the majority of people in the world do. And so this is why I sit there and laugh. Y'all is like, oh, he's a president. He just say the most horrible stuff. He's just not. And I'm just sitting here like, don't the majority of people, I didn't see you stubbed your toe. So, all right. So, all right, these poo-head countries. Let's talk about poo-head countries. Why? This is why I say we got a war on poo. Okay, I'm still going. I'm not done yet. Why is it poo? Why poo all over the world? Why is poo? Well, and this is why I started off with Reefer Madness, because it's important for us to process the poo. Let me see if I got this. Here we go. I want to process the poo this morning. That just don't sound right at all. Oh, and I can't move too much. I'm sitting. Goodness, speaking of poo, I got to adjust. I know, I got my bubble wrap. Yeah, I got bubble wrap under my butt. Leave me alone. I just got to make sure it's in the right spot. All right, war on poo. Here we go. So all over the world, we got poo. Why is it poo all over the world? What in the world happened? Well, I suspect, and I kind of think, we got poo all over the world because the first thing that happens is we look at, this is the mineral map. Look at the mineral map and we see, Mexico, we're going to bring y'all to war on drugs. We figure we can make some money. And so I think the first thing we do is we drop a little poo on Mexico. Let me see if we can drop some poo. Do you got poo? Do I got some poo? Hold on. I don't know where this little silly stuff come up from. Let me see if I got some poo. Here we go. I got poo. We got let's bring some poo to Mexico. Why? Because we got the war on drugs, and we figured, I got to move myself out the way. Hold on. We figured if we got the war on drugs, what we can probably do is take some of this poo, and of course it's holy poo, because you see it's got the little holy thing on it, so you know it's holy poo. Why? Because we know we can make a whole lot of money with the war on drugs in Mexico. Now we kind of leave out the fact that when little girls go to school, because, well, before we go there, so you bring the war on drugs to Mexico. Mexico falls apart. Drug cartels take over. They basically take over the government. They make so much money because drugs are illegal that they can buy jet planes. They can hire ex-military from the United States government, special forces. They can buy tanks. They take over these small towns in Mexico. You get all these little Mexican children, they can't even go to school. They basically got to run, and they see assault weapons every single day and just trying to get to school because they're trying to fight off these crazy people who are making a whole lot of money on the war on drugs. And so we got poo on Mexico. Mexico, you got, see, some of y'all might know where I'm going with this now. So we got poo in Mexico. And then we come to find out, you know what? Dang it, in the Congo, they got some, what they got in the Congo? Is it zircon? Is it zircon? I forgot what it is. Anyway, we figured we could make a whole lot of money from bringing poo to the Congo. So we get some more poo, and we put some poo on the Congo. Why? Because we can make a whole lot of money. We call it holy, so we'll put like a halo on it. We'll call it something like, I don't know, we're going to free the Congolese and help them out and help the government, stabilize infrastructure. And so basically, I think in Congo, and it's just not an American thing. This was like a Western thing. I think it was King Leopold in Belgium. So we put poo on there, and then we go and we find out that Middle East has oil. Oh my goodness, Middle East has some oil. So we get some more holy poo. We're gonna find some holy poo and put some little holy poo on the Middle East. Can I get that on the Middle East? I may not be able to get that on the Middle East, but I don't want to belabor this point too far. But the point I'm making is we got poo head countries. Hold on, let me go back because y'all missed it. Sometimes you can't see the thing. Let's move the poo. Take the poo. So we're putting poo all over the world. Why? Because poo makes a whole lot of money. Poo is very profitable. We come up with profit motives to go all over the world. And we basically, so every now and then, I think the 1% of the 1%, they just mess up and they'll actually say something that's true. Mr. Trump was right. People from poo head countries all want to come to the United States. But this is why I'm saying that, you know, I don't go with y'all on he's racist and bigot. I'm nothing like that. He is a rich prick who does not understand how the world works, and he's not supposed to because he's a rich prick, right? And this is why I'm saying he's, you know, but again, pretty much all the presidents fall into that. Most of Congress and the Senate, they all fall in that. They don't really know what's going on, but I think a lot of them know what's going on. So just kind of educating. So I think the whole peace movement now, what we got, because it seems that we got people who are actually getting to a point where they're realizing world peace is more important than world poo. Displaying, putting poo all over the planet. And I'm gonna keep it. So this is what I think. I think we got a war on poo going. I think we have a war on stopping leaders from, can I say Schlitz? Schlitz is a malt liquor, y'all. Schlitz. Can we stop the world leaders from schlitzing all over the world, right? Because usually it tends to be the West, but it's not just the West. Every country's got their Schlitz leader, and they want to put some Schlitz somewhere because they can make a whole lot of money, pumping out minerals, making natural medicine, so people's butt has to hurt for 24 hours so they can't take a little something, make them feel better because they don't want to take no synthetic drugs because I don't want my genes altered and have to deal with that for the next 10 years of life to get through 24 hours of pain. So I know it sounds personal. It's kind of personal. It's kind of personal because they want to walk you into taking their drugs, which is why I don't take their drugs. If I can push through the pain, I push through the pain. Sciatica pain is no joke, you know, but then it causes you to go down other paths. You got to do holistic stuff. So I had to massage it and I had to stretch it and ice packs and warm packs. But it's what you got to do because, one, I'm not giving you my money. That's number one. Pharmaceutical industry, you don't get my money. Y'all bat hell crazy, bat Schlitz crazy, and y'all don't get my money. And two, I don't want to have to deal with the side effects of putting your synthetic drugs in my body. So, okay, let's keep going. So it's kind of led me down this route this morning. So I got somewhere else to go. I got to get out the poo hole. Let me go over here. I'm out the poo hole. Hey! guess where I am? I finally got in the car. I like to be in moving vehicles. Finally got in the car. Y'all know who this brother is? Anybody know who that is? Let me see. I don't think y'all know who it is. No, that's not Richard Pryor. That's Wendell Scott. Y'all don't know who Wendell. I'm gonna educate you on Brother Wendell Scott. Let me tell you, Brother Wendell Scott right here. Y'all know who Brother Wendell Scott is. Brother Wendell Scott, I know. So that was Richard Pryor. I'm in the car from Grease. Grease Lightning was the movie, but it was based on Wendell Scott. That's Brother Wendell Scott. I know you looking at him like, y'all, well, okay, for my friends who they still in this little race thing, they're looking at him and they're not sure what they're seeing, which I think is very funny. And which why I love Brother Wendell Scott, because you look at it, you can't really tell what is he? Is he? So, and I'm gonna let you keep guessing. But Brother Wendell Scott, he was entered into the Hall of Fame of NASCAR as being one of the first African-American race car drivers. How did Brother Wendell Scott get so good at driving a race car? How did this happen? It happened because of the war on alcohol. See, alcohol was another thing that people used for pain. Just like cannabis and all the rest of the kratom and all the rest of the natural healthy medicines that don't cause side effects, they used to drink it. They would make it from rice and wheat, you know, even back to the Egyptians, they would drink this stuff called alcohol. Well, in walks a way of just putting some poo all over America, and they came up with this thing called prohibition. They found a way to make a whole lot of money, so they prohibited the sale of alcohol. And so Brother Wendell Scott, he decided he wanted to run something called moonshine. So he was a moonshine runner, learned how to drive a race car, real good, but he lucked up. He didn't have to use that. That was his survival mechanism, right? Like we talk about, they outlaw survival. And when they outlaw survival, bad things happen, right? Human beings, we get attached to food, we get attached to water, we get attached to things like having houses and safety for our children. Y'all remember the picture of the Mexico children I just saw you trying to run to school with book bags on? They got to get past assault rifles. We did that. We pooed on their country. So for survival, what do people do? Well, this is what Brother Wendell did. He drove a race car. Now, he lucked up. He was very lucky because he was scouted into this racing derby and ended up in him driving in NASCAR. So he actually got out, and he found they gave him another way for survival. But the rest of the people, they had to survive, and they kept running moonshine. A lot of them got in prison, ended up in prison, stayed in prison. Some of them died in prison. Some of them died in car wrecks. So we pooed all of America, and so we're pooing everywhere else. The thing is, back then, they couldn't go anywhere, so they had to survive. So what's happening, and to answer the president's question, why do people from poo-head countries want to come here? People from poo-head countries want to come here because who likes living in poo? Who? We destroy their countries, so of course they want to come here. And the point was, well, we need to bring more people from, Norwegian folks and European folks. And why they don't want to come here? Why would you come here from Amsterdam? If you have freedom in your own country, you don't want to come to America. The only people who want to come to America for the most part are people whose countries have been devastated by Western poo, dropping poo on their country somehow. So to answer the question most effectively, the people who are trying to survive, who don't want to walk their kids to school looking at assault rifles, will immigrate to your country. This is the immigration problem we have all over the world right now. So that's why I think, it's a peace movement. But in reality, we're fighting against the Schlitz that our leaders have consistently and constantly from Western governments been dropping all over the world. And those people who want to survive, who want to eat food and have a little water, have a house, they have no choice. They can't do it safe in their country, so they come to your country. And it's your job not to be a poo head, to be a little Schlitz, and be upset about that, right? Because if you understand how all this all works, and if you actually look back in history, you'll realize this is all on us. It's always on us. When people have food, water in the house, and safety in their own house, on their own land, in their own country, they're not coming to yours. Nobody wants to leave their house to come to your house. So it's not that your house is so great. It's that your house tends to be more corrupt and you have maybe slightly more safety than what they do. So we are, yes, thank you, Sister Mary. We are a Schlitz hole creator. We manufacture Schlitz and we just spread it all, just like poo. Like just one. You know what? Let me show you something. These thoughts come up and I'm just like, dang it, it's scary, but it actually makes a whole lot of sense. You know, this isn't the first time that we've seen this, right? So, because part of it is we do this for profit. But the other reason we just spread Schlitz all over the planet is because it's territory, right? It's that debt colonization. It's mineral colonization. We're taking over countries. We're deploying debt models. And hold on, let me show this to you. Because I've seen this before. I knew it looked familiar. Because when people do this, it's not just people. But there are a lot of animals throughout animal kingdom. And when they want to mark their territory, there's some of them that'll just pee on you. Y'all talking about that dog used to pee on me. Sometimes your dog will do that. They show ownership and the cats will do it. But the rhino, when he wants to tell you that this is mine, he just Schlitz all over the place. I know. They're like, oh my God, oh, what's happening? What's he doing? What's he showing? I'm showing nature works how nature always works. If you Schlitz everywhere, nobody wants to walk in that. What other rhino's going to come over there and want to walk in that? They leave, they evacuate. And is this not how the mineral wars work? Is this not how conflict minerals work? Is this not? I know I'm going to get in trouble for that one. But does it not make sense that we just poo everywhere and we blame everybody else? The people in our own countries can't connect the dots and realize that we do this because it makes an awful lot of money. Some get to escape that survival, like Brother Wendell, and others don't get to escape it. And the vast majority are the 99% that never tend to escape it. And so they do anything they can do to survive. We talking about Sister Debbie's talking about try to become vegan. You know what, Debbie? I'm not a vegan. I'm a vegetarian, and I kind of stopped there. I'm probably mostly vegan. You know, I stay pretty far from the dairy, which is why I never get sick. Which is why when I damage things like my I forgot the name of the muscle that I damaged. It starts with a P. Muscle, it's a butt muscle. It's a butt muscle in your butt right next to your tailbone. It starts with a P, but when you damage it, it gets tight and it puts pressure on the sciatica and hurts. You know, but when your body, your immune system has less things to fight by being vegetarian, eating less chemical foods, taking less drugs, then your white blood cells can repair the damage that's done around your body a lot faster. So I'd love to be, but I'm mostly raw and all that good stuff. He was born in my hometown. Yes, he was born in your hometown, Sandra. Born in Danville. Yes, good old Danville, Virginia. It said Imperial Poo. So, you know, I was going down, and I'm thinking, okay, so we got a war on poo. And so there's some real good stuff on Wendell Scott, but I wanted to get into some more of it. So how does this relate? So we get down to the iPhone discussion. Let me go over here to the iPhone discussion. So they're still looking into this whole iPhone thing and whether or not iPhone actually did illegally do planned obsolescence. So first of all, for me, it's not even a question. I know. Oh, see, there you go. So buy another car, spend more money, some slavery.
Phone users owns an iPhone. Each new model causes much excitement, but not everyone is happy with the US manufacturer. A French consumer watchdog has filed a legal complaint saying Apple deliberately slows down older iPhone models to encourage customers to buy newer ones.
Okay, I'm gonna stop there. I played it the other day. So what this is basically about is iPhone's in trouble in France, and France is against the law to do planned obsolescence. And so iPhone, what they would do is they would slow down the older phones by sending out updates, and their excuse was they want to preserve the battery life, right? Couple things when it comes to that discussion. So they want to preserve the battery life. I think it's BS. I think their response is BS because it makes no sense. Their point is, as their phones get old, the increased computations that are happening, it eventually starts to erode the battery life. The battery dies. So they want you to, so they want to preserve the life of the phone. So you don't have to buy another iPhone. I'm going to say that again real slow. So iPhone, they want to preserve the life of your battery. So you don't have to buy another iPhone for a while. Does that make any damn sense? That doesn't make no damn sense. It makes none. So here's what I think. So if you've got 1,000 computations you got to make on an iPhone, and those 1,000 computations take up a chunk of that battery, chunk of energy, because it's getting data, moving registers around, et cetera, whether you break that up into a chunk of 500 and 500, it's still going to use pretty much the same amount of battery life. Now, I get that there might be like some little insignificant savings and putting less stress on the battery, but I can't believe that they're going to be able to demonstrate that it's going to be any significant savings, that it's actually going to end up in a place where the battery is going to have any longer of a shelf life. They got caught with their finger in the cookie jar. It's time for iPhone to pay the price. I think it's important to get them to pay the price for a couple reasons. One, if you make a phone where you can't replace the battery, and I didn't know you couldn't replace the battery. If you make a phone and you can't replace the battery, you're an idiot. That's number one. Number two, if you make a phone that's based on conflict minerals from Congo and South America and even the Middle East on slave labor, you're an idiot. Well, okay, and I'll be fair and say that, well, if you don't have a choice and you're a business and you're kind of trying to live in the current climate, which is pretty much what everybody in the Western world does today, who all have lives based on slavery, which is why I don't give a damn what nothing y'all have to say about slavery, because we all have lives that are based on it. Some of us are trying to reduce our reliance on slavery. Others of us don't give a damn. So iPhone has to operate in the current climate of the world. However, there's a difference between accepting, you know what, this is jacked up. You know, this cup was made by slave labor, and I'm just going to keep buying one every damn year. Every time they have a new upgrade to the cup, I'm going to get the new upgrade. I'm going to stand in line and get me a new upgrade. And by the way, this cup was not made in slave labor. This cup was made by Brother Bob, a good friend of mine. It's made from Pennsylvania, New Jersey clay. That's another story. So there's a difference between a company that kind of accepts that, you know what, we're in a bad climate. I'm going to make a good phone, parts interchangeable. It's going to be repairable, and I'm not going to, you know, try to fight off them repairing it or replacing the battery and elongating the life of the phone. So I have less conflict minerals that I have to use. That's not what iPhone does. They try to get you to upgrade your phones as often as possible. And I'm not letting Droid off the hook. I'm a Droid user personally, but they do the same damn thing too. Now, it's good we can replace our battery so our phones can last a bit longer, but it's still based on taking something that's based on slave labor and making it a consumable. And so people keep buying it over and over and over. And of course, I'm hitting the companies, but I'm hitting idiots too, because we do it. We buy this crap. And so I think that debate's going down. I think it's a great thing. I think it's awesome. I think France, stick it to them. Stick them in the poo hole. I think you need to get them. What'd you say, Sister Sandra? U.S. created the definition of poo country. Yeah, we did. We did. And unfortunately, it's because we backed down from running our own country. Somehow life just got a little too good. And it's not anything with America or U.S. citizens. It has to do with humanity. It's just a jacked up thing about us where life gets too good. We stop looking up and we stop, life gets so good, we stop thinking about the slavery that occurs in other countries that we're thriving upon, right? And so if it were France that had the biggest nation, biggest military, they would be in the same place. If it were Japan, so it's not a country identity thing. It's just we lost control of our country, and we got to get back in control of our country, or some really, really, really bad things are going to happen. What else we got? Sister Rhonda said they make throwaway phones because that's where their market is. The more phones you buy, the more money they make. And it is. We've somehow let a market that's based on slave labor thrive, which is why I'm always saying the things that we need to talk about are human rights related. They're human life related. They're slavery related. They're related to not putting little kids in prisons all across the United States and the world because they had some dry pants, because they wanted to grow a little something for the guy sitting on some damn bubble wrap because his butt hurt. I know, ow, it's personal. It's hard, this is an old car, y'all. This car was made in the 50s, man. This seat ain't that comfortable. And so, yeah, so they deliberately make them hackable as well. Yes, Brother Jack, they make them hackable because the same thing they saw with the first car alarms, right? When they would, they would make the car alarms and they always made them hackable. Why? Because so every so often you had to keep upgrading, get the new car alarm, Same thing with houses. There's always a hole. Same thing with computers, right? But that's more of the CIA and the FBI and NSA making sure they got the back holes and the encryption's not too tight and they always carve a hole that they can get in. And then this guy, Johnny, Zit-Face Johnny, he quits working for the NSA and he goes and tells someone, hey, we got a back door. The back door is blah, 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 blah. He shares it with his hacker friend, so your computer gets hacked into. Somebody puts some malware, spyware, something on your computer. That's not your government. That just loves you to death. And now your computer flips out, dies, breaks down. But it's the same thing. Like, they make these things so that they are consumable. And they don't directly give them to the bad guys, but the bad guys, well, maybe they do. But the bad guys always get it. The technology breaks down. And so now we're using it like it's a piece of toilet paper. You make something that's high electronics and you make it consumable. Got to get past this. We got to get past it. They even use software to mess you up. They even use software to mess up your phone about the time your contract is up. And I think that's the point, Rhonda, and I think that's what people are saying. And it's the same thing with operating systems on computers, right? After so many years, it doesn't work how it used to, right? And if it's standard corruption, replacing the operating system would fix all that. It never fixes all that. It tends to speed things up when you do, but the computer still runs slower and slower and slower. And so I think across the board that this is a place where software companies can get caught. So what does it mean for us in terms of what we're learning in France? I think all of our countries, we need to have this. This is the same point that I'm saying, that we need to hand up the requirements, right, to government. We need to hand up to our leaders what they need to do. When we sit back and we wait for them to hand us stuff, it's always poo. It's always some crap. It's always some schlitz. And it's always comes with some little side screw. This is something, planned obsolescence is a very real thing. And it's across the board. And it's become, in a lot of industries, it's become a standard, right? It's like the pharmaceutical industry. Planned obsolescence, they don't cure anything. But, they make drugs, so you got to keep taking the drugs over and over and over. Unless you're somebody like, was it Pfizer? Who was it? Who said they're not going to work on Parkinson's and dementia medications anymore, trying to find a cure because it means they found a cure, but it's not going to make any money to sell it. But it's planned obsolescence. You keep buying it. And the pharmaceutical companies, they bought that piece of legislation in the United States. I'm not sure anywhere else if they did it, where basically you have to throw, like hospitals, when you get your medication. Let's say example. Here's an example. If I actually went to the doctor for this sciatica thing and I ended up, they put me in the hospital, whatever, they would get some drug, we'll call it Mexapro. I don't know if that's a real damn thing. Mexapro. They get a bottle of Mexapro, got 80 pills in it. They would get it, they'd bring it in front of me, and the doctor would take, you get 2 or 3 of them, take 2 or 3, you got your Mexapro, my pain goes away, and I leave the hospital. The rest of that medication, because I'd have to go get my prescription, but the rest of that medication, they would throw down the toilet. Because there are laws that say that you actually have to get rid of the medication after the bottle is open. What does that mean? That means that I took 3 pills, 70, how many's left? 76? 70, they get poured down, 77, they get poured down the drain. And now that pharmaceutical company makes a lot more money because they're pouring all the medication down the drain. Now, the crazy thing about that, too, they make a lot of money on this planned obsolescence model, making things consumable that should not be consumable. But now all the medication goes into drinking water. And this is why around the United States, we're finding all kind of crazy things in the water. They found Viagra in the water. They're finding pharmaceuticals in the water. Now, water treatment systems can't even keep up because they were just trying to get the poo. They're trying to get the poo out the water, but now they got to get the pharmaceuticals, the pesticides, the herbicides, and they can't. And that's a big, big thing. So, but again, we walk down this unsustainable path of allowing corporations to make whatever it is they have into a consumable and an unsustainable model of planned obsolescence. Huge, big, big, big thing. Something for us to think about. Laura said, too expensive to be a consumable. Well, you know what? So I think, and it's interesting. So you think about cell phone. I bought a cell phone a couple years ago. A damn thing was like $800. It was outside the plan. I had to pay for it. It was crazy. But anyway, the point is you would think that, dang, that's crazy and expensive to be a consumable. Well, they find ways to get past that. Like think about the corn industry. It's subsidized. Think about the pharmaceuticals. They're subsidized. And so how do they take very expensive things and make it, and I'm not sure if the cell phone companies do this, but how do they make very expensive things consumable with they're so expensive it wouldn't make any sense? They make you pay for it. They make the taxpayers pay for it. They go and because you don't own your legislators. Now you like to fight over them left, right, like you own them and you don't, but they own your legislators and they'll go to them and they'll write a law. They'll pay the legislator and say, here, sign this, send that out. We got just enough other people on the other side to sign it, so it'll just pass through. We'll get a couple other politicians, pretend like they're fighting it like it's a bad thing. But what this is that the taxpayers will pay for the excess. So whatever product we make can be a consumable so we can make more money. And so this is why I say half the time you can delete 90% of the laws, and that actually might take us in the right direction of getting back to having some sort of freedom and liberty and not outlawing survival. So Brother Harley said, yeah, greed is a mother, isn't it? Greed is a hell of a drug. Which is why I think, the more and more we talk about this stuff, the more it walks down this path into understanding that every problem we have worldwide gets to, it's very profitable to just put schlitz all over the world. Just got diarrhea everywhere. And it gets down to our monetary systems, which is why I keep saying, you got to listen to very smart people who are talking about upgrading or flipping out our monetary system, the debt system, because it does not work. All right, so what else we got? A couple other things happened. Oh, Brother Assange. Okay, so what's going on with Brother Assange? So he got his Ecuadorian ID, and the whole thought where we thought he was going to go free was based on him getting diplomatic immunity. And so he would be a diplomat for the Ecuadorian nation, and it means that the UK can't touch him. You know how that works when somebody from an Arab country or actually any country, or so like I say, I got to be fair. Somebody from an Arab country or an American comes to your country to an Arab country, and I don't know, they do something stupid. They rob somebody, slap them upside the head, murder them, rape them, kill them, something like that. And they actually don't have to pay a price. They just get back on the airplane. They don't go to jail and they go home. That's what diplomatic immunity is. And so they tried to give him diplomatic immunity, and the UK government, America's little brother, said, oh, hell no, you ain't going nowhere. So they said no. So he did not get diplomatic immunity, which means that if Assange walks outside of that hotel or walks outside the embassy, they will arrest him and they will extradite him and he will go to America and all types of bad things going to happen to him. And they're going to violate his poo hole because that's how it works. So Assange ain't going anywhere. There's a couple other things that I missed from China. China's kind of nasty, y'all. China's kind of stinky. China actually has an app. They're deploying an app that allows people to report misdemeanors. Wrong way, China. Don't go that way. Don't go that way. So it's an app that allows people, if they see you doing something wrong, they can take a picture of you and they send it over to, I guess, the authorities right through the app. I guess through the app. I forgot the name of the app, but it actually, it goes through the authorities. You end up either getting arrested or getting your ticket. Wrong way, China. 99% in China, that's not the way you want to go. That's bad. But it being like a stopping point and a testing ground for the rest of our Western nations is coming to us too. If we already don't have it, when they see you speeding or breaking the law and somebody can just take a picture, guys, the whole hall monitor thing, let's not do that. Do we have to do that? Like, if we understand that these laws are foul, the laws are for the 99%, not the ruling elites and everybody above us. Why in the world do we support this stuff? Like, why would you clap? Like, I get that you might be pissed off that somebody does something or whatever, but the incarceration all around the world is at ridiculously horrible levels, right? The idea that you take a human being and you put them in a cage smaller than what they put killer whales in SeaWorld, which is another topic, or a lion in, or a monkey in, it's just wrong. So, like, I think you got to try to think about things in terms of the greatest evil. Is it evil that this 17-year-old kid sped past you at the stoplight, cut you off? Does it piss you off? Yeah, it does. It absolutely does. But a greater evil is taking that kid and putting them in prison, or taking that kid and having something horrible. You know, they're spraying graffiti on the wall and it really pisses you off. Yeah, I get that. But you know what? Ask yourself a question. Were you ever a dumb kid? Most of us were. Most of us did dumb things as kids because that's what kids do. Before you have a frontal lobe, it takes 26 years before you actually have a fully functioning frontal lobe. So you're not even a human being until you're 26. And so the idea that you as an adult with a human functioning adult brain that can make decisions, you're supposed to use to make a good decision and say, let's not throw this kid's life away by taking a picture of them and sending it to the police. Let me go talk to that kid, or let me just keep about my day. But let me not keep doing things that gives more and more power to the 1%, because that's all it is. They want you to take pictures of people doing stuff. They want you to tell on each other. They want you to be the hall monitor. They want you to be that little kid when the teacher leaves the classroom and to write names on the board. Write down the names of everybody who's talking. Don't be the tattletale. We can be the tattletale in times of peace. We are not in times of peace. We are in times of war. We have to remove power from the 1%, not give them more. Wrong way, China. There was actually a good piece of news that came out. Every now and then some good news. Malaysia. Y'all remember Flight MH370? Flight MH370, actually the Malaysian flight that disappeared and nobody found it. Every now and then, I'll see if I have this. Every now and then, we will use technology to do something good, which is why I left the whole software engineering automation industry, because the technology is used to make money. The automation is used to kill and murder people. It's not used for anything good. I don't think I have it, but I can post it later if somebody wants to see it. But so what Malaysia is doing is they're paying $70 million to a company that has a series of, they're almost like drone submarines in a ship to actually go out and find Flight MH370, which is a great thing, right? Like, you got families who lost their family members, and, you know, this is the right direction. Thank you, Malaysia. Like, this is the right direction. We want to incentivize companies who are doing good things. We want to incentivize technology to be utilized for the betterment of humanity. We want those families to have peace. We want the black box to be found so they can rest and find out what happened, why the flight failed, fix the screw or the bolt or whatever happened, the damn CIA missile, because somebody was on the airplane. Like, when people die, you find out why they died, and then you make a fix to your society. So if we find out it was a bolt that was bad, then they can fix the airplane so they don't have the bolt to go bad. Now a lot of more people don't have to die. They find out it was a CIA missile, then maybe Americans can have a discussion, or KGB missile, who knows? And then people can have a discussion in that company, in that country. Should we have this organization that has the ability to murder 300 people on a flight because they want to get one person? So I appreciate that, and that's a great thing. But I think they got to find the airplane, the debris field, in like 3 months in order to get the $70 million. Okay, SeaWorld. Joe Manby, CEO of SeaWorld. Very controversial. And so there's talk about SeaWorld in America closing, which I think they got SeaWorlds around the world in other places. I'm not sure. Challenges with SeaWorld. Why is SeaWorld closing? Well, if y'all have seen that documentary, Blackfish, I don't know if y'all saw that. It was the documentary that it kind of explained that these killer whales, they go crazy when you put them in small pens. And so SeaWorld came under a lot of fire. They made a documentary after Blackfish to explain that there was some fake news in Blackfish. But the whole point to PETA and the rest of the organizations is that it didn't really make a difference. Killer whales in the wild have never killed a human being that's been documented, but in cages in these pens that they actually have. And so, so it looks like they hired Joe Manby to try to fix SeaWorld. He got in bed with PETA. He got in bed in a partnership with the Humane Society. They agreed to stop breeding orcas, but year after year, SeaWorld's the amount of money they made went down lower and lower and lower. And so they're doing worse and worse and worse. However, not Joe. I think Joe's salary is $1 million a year. And last year he got $11.7 million in stock options and everything else. So difficult discussion there, because when it comes to something like that, SeaWorld does do a lot of good, right? They are the largest rescue organization in the world. They rescue the animals to put them into some slavery, but they actually do a lot of good. They do a lot of things in terms of teaching people about wildlife and animals, getting kids to fall in love with whales. You know, growing up in that generation, we went to SeaWorld. We would see Shamu jump. We get excited to watch him swim. We fell in love with the sea. We fell in love with whales, and that dawned the modern environmentalist movement. So SeaWorld has done a lot of good. However, we have to upgrade, right? We got to upgrade. When we get to a point where we realize what we're doing is really, really bad, that we should not be, that if you're going to have killer whales in enclosures, you got to have them in enclosures that actually make sense for what they need. A killer whale can swim 100 miles a day, and the idea that you have them in a pen that's 100 yards across or 300 yards across, it doesn't make any sense. There's some interesting things I was watching in the article. They were talking about how, they showed a picture of above SeaWorld of the whale pens versus the parking lot. And the parking lot is something like 800% bigger than what the pens actually were. They could actually make sea pens for the whales. They're not doing that. They say it's too expensive. And I'm sitting here thinking, if you made 11 million last year and you're telling me that you can't build a sea pen for 11 million, you're an idiot. They're saying the other animal shows, they have the animal entertainment where you have the seals jump through hoops and the whales jump and flip and all the training you got to do. It's a difficult conversation because a lot of the people who train those animals, they actually love animals. And it's a horrible thing that they got to do. It's almost like, it's like the circus. The bear trainer, he actually loved bears. The lion trainer loved lions. But the job was abusing the animal. And so SeaWorld's saying they want to get away from animal entertainment. But Joel's point, he's got a good interview you can watch. His point was that SeaWorld is a steam liner. You can't just stop it on a dime and turn it. And I'm calling BS on it. I'm calling shenanigans on the whole thing for a couple reasons. One, because he can build sea pens if they wanted to for the orcas that are still there. Didn't an orca just die at the beginning of this year or last year? That orca that was sick died at SeaWorld. So they could build the pens if they wanted to. They're not. The animal shows and getting seals to jump through hoops, they can change that tomorrow. We've all had dogs and cats. You can, well, not a cat. Cat, you can't train a cat to do a damn thing. Cats run the house. They're like toddlers. They run the house. But you can train animals to do something different. And if you want to make it more of a environmentally friendly, animal-friendly show, then just don't make the animal jump through hoops, dummy. Just let the animal swim, feed it, throw food to it, and have the guy on the telephone or the guy on the little headset, let him just talk about seals and what they do. So I think it's BS on the whole thing. If SeaWorld closed, it'll be a great thing for some of the animals, and it'll be a horrible thing for the education aspect. So, but I get it. You get to a place where, they didn't upgrade fast enough. People don't want to go there anymore. They don't want to see that stuff, and it comes to an end. Another interesting thing I saw I kind of liked is, so if you look at Israel and Israel-Palestine news, people protesting, man. They're not happy. People are in the streets. They want Bibi out. They don't like him.
Israel demanding the resignation of the country's prime minister over mounting corruption allegations. The protesters were carrying placards and shouting slogans denouncing the government. RT's Murat Gazdiev picks up this story.
So So you can watch the whole thing, but I found it interesting, and this is why 99% y'all got to stop talking ignorant. Stop saying dumb things about Jews. This has nothing to do with religion. None of this ever did. It has to do with people in Israel. They're 99% too. They're not dumb. They understand. Bibi's corrupt. They want him out. And these are things that people need to get behind. These are things, I wonder, like, you see this stuff on RT, but you never see it in the mainstream media. So they've got thousands of people in Israel protesting. Why are not people getting behind that? Why is not? Well, not in America. It might be on your news. In America, you don't see this anywhere. They don't. If you watch America, they believe everybody in Israel loves the prime minister and they want him to stay. So good thing. I think things like that do need to go viral. When you see that there are human beings in every country, you know, a large portion of the 99%, they are empathetic people. They don't want the corruption. They don't want the crime. They don't want the poo. You know, they realize this is going the wrong way. What is the new approval that came through? There was a new approval that came through where they approved another 1,100 homes in a new settlement in Palestine. These are very basic things, guys. Like, I don't take sides in anything. I just look at it and say, does this make any damn sense? If you ever go online and look, let me see if I can find this for you. You ever go online and you look at, I know I posted it not too long ago, the actual progress of land into Palestine. There's a timeline. I don't know if I got it easily real quick, where they showed how much land is being taken over time. And it's very obvious. Here we go. Here's one right here. Let me show this to you. It's very obvious over time what they're doing, right? So this isn't a thing of anti-Israel, pro-Israel, taking a side in anything. It's just a real question of, can somebody come to your land, your country, your house, and actually just start to take land and grow? And this is what's happening, right? So this is why it's not a Democrat, Republican thing. It's not a Christian Jew thing. It's not an Arab Jew thing. It's not any of that ignorance. This is about whether or not you believe someone can come into your country or your house and just live in your bathroom. And when the bathroom's not big enough, they can take over the living room. When the living room's not big enough, they take over the kitchen. And so it's a real question of not sides, but whether or not, if people in power have the ability to steal land. To me, it's a very simple question. And that doesn't put me on either side of it. It's just a very simple question. If someone invades your home, they stage a home invasion, I'm going to call the police. Why am I going to call the police? Because the police supposed to come help you. They came to your house, you know, they brought guns and they're taking over your house. They got to go. That's not a partial thing. That's not a anti-Semite thing. That's listening to the people in Israel, listening to the Jews and everybody else who knows that that is wrong. So this is what I'm saying. It doesn't matter really who you voted for. You might have voted for Trump. Understand, though, that foreign policy is not owned by Trump or Obama or anybody else. The idea that Jerusalem's supposed to be the capital, that's supported by all parties. So there is no, you know, Trump did this or Trump did that. They get you to use these names to get people fighting over stuff and realize that all the presidents have all pretty much done the same thing because both parties agree that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. And so not a partial thing, not a side thing. Thank you, Brother Harvey. You agree with me. Thank you. It's correct. I'm not sure half the time if these things are correct. I look at it, I try to process it, don't pick a side and say from a human rights, common damn sense perspective, where should I be on this? Israel is wrong in this. Listening to the people protesting in Israel. They're protesting that their government is corrupt. Believe them. That's called eyes on the ground. Jump off your side. Sister Jeannie said the majority of conflicts are to steal land. They are. The majority of conflicts, because land is power. Land is life. Land is wealth. Land is everything, which is why the Industrial Revolution came and they got everybody to sell their land and move to the cities. And now they're weak. They need their government for everything, all the infrastructure, their medications, the food. The city makes them sick, but it's walking people into a consumable society, and they don't have a choice. They have to praise you know, the infrastructure holders, which are the government, and they can do anything they want to do around the world in terms of murder, death, and destruction because these people are scared to stand up and say anything against them, which is why land is empowerment. Thank you, Rona. It's all about right and wrong. You said it best. That's why I love y'all. Y'all say stuff. I think about things. They get a little discombobulated. They end up in a 5-minute conversation. It's all about right and wrong. There's right and there's wrong. Try to stand on what's right. Chastise what's wrong. Should be that simple. If people actually declared the stealing of their land as war against sovereign people, it would not happen as much. Yes, Jeannie, if people stand up and say that it's wrong, it'll stop happening. We actually can go back to well, I'm not sure we ever really had much of a peaceful world, but the world did not have this much war. We can certainly go back to a more peaceful world if we can get people to get out of their little identity, religion, race, party, politics, and actually just say wrong is wrong. The indigenous Palestinians are being obliterated. Yes, they are. Sister Susan, first the Nakba, and now they're being imprisoned, forced out of their homes and murdered so Zionist Jews from the West can move in. I agree with the whole statement. I'm gonna leave the Jew part off. Zionists, like if I understand the rabbi who was talking about it, they're Zionists, right? You know, they can be in the Jewish religion, but that's not why they're doing what they're doing. It has nothing to do with Judaism. It has to do with the fact that they're Zionists, right? They're a political leg. They're like Westboro Baptist Church. They're like Al-Qaeda. They're like, you know, any other extremist group within a religion. They might be that religion, but it has nothing to do with that religion. It has to simply do with these extremists who are getting away with doing something because they have a lot of power behind them, and it's criminal. Brother Harley said, but they're the chosen people according to their doctrine. Yes, Harley, and that's a good one. So okay, we go down that road, right? Chosen for what might be the question. Chosen for what? And this is the debate that people who don't read their Bibles love to talk about. That, oh, God said they're the chosen people, so we got to stand behind them. Yeah, but God also said don't murder children. God also said, you know, to have respect for other people. God also said love. God also said, I forgot the scripture, talked about how the most evil ones among us were the ones who harmed the heads of the little ones, the children. So you got to get, so we can play selective scripture. You know what I mean? People like to do that, and they like to pretend to you that they're Christian. This is why I say, I don't know where's the brother who always hitting me? The anti-Christian brother. I forgot where he went. He's always hitting me. But the thing is that these people aren't Christian. Those people aren't Jews, right? Because if you study, you know, look at Al-Qaeda, we know that they're not Muslim. And so if you have a logical thinking brain, you don't jump on a side, you can process it for what it is. You know, they'll try to use these religious names to get people to get behind them, you know, which is what they do in American elections. They try to use groupism, storkism, because a stork dropped you off in this indoctrination to get you to back it up. And so you just have to stand up. And like I said, I wish they'd say something like that to me. Oh, they're the chosen people and God says it. Oh, okay. All right. Well, God also says that you are among the most evil people and you will burn in hell for your support of murdering children. We can talk about it from that perspective. So I'm not a selective scripture person. I like people who, if you say that this is what you are, you say you're Christian, act like it. You say that you love Jesus, you're supposed to kind of try to act like Jesus on some occasion, every now and then. Jesus kind of, you know. You love Muhammad? You should be doing what Muhammad did, damn it. You know. That's kind of my 2 cents on that. Said they took over the rest of the house and put Palestine in the toilet with the poo. Yes, they have. Yes, they have. And this is why we have to speak up. And you know, the interesting part about the ish too is that they're Christian Palestinians. Nobody likes to talk about that either. Nope, they don't like to talk about that because, oh my God, the Christians actually find out that they're putting Christian babies in prisons, Christian Palestinians in prisons. They're actually pointing tanks at other Christians. No, they don't want you to know that because they want to make you ignorant. They want to make you stupid. They want to make you, because you are this particular religion and you don't actually read the book that comes with that religion. It's like a manual, but they don't read it. It's like any other cell phone or something. People get the cell phone, they don't read the manual, and that's why they go to sleep with a cell phone like this, and they don't realize that they're actually causing brain cancer. Yes, the waves are actually modifying cell, and this is science, which is why every cell phone manufacturer says you don't put any cell phone in your pocket. You don't have it within a quarter inch of your skin. And they had that report that came out last week that it said your cell phone shouldn't even be within arm's length while you sleep. Anyway, people don't read the instruction manuals to the religions, and they try to get people on ignorant sides. Don't be ignorant. Just try to stand up for what's right. What else we got? Said, please tag this map of the progressive loss of Palestine land and territory to me. Okay, Lori, I'll post it out in the comments and I'll tag you. Abby Martin interviews ordinary citizens, and the majority seem to hate Palestine and just want them gone. Yeah, so Lola Mar, I saw that interview. The problem, though, is we don't know. It's a statistic, right? We don't know what the majority want. I mean, it is possible that the people she interviewed were that. I mean, they said some really retarded stuff. I watched it. I know. But not everybody obviously is that way. I mean, we just saw the clip of thousands of people in the street trying to throw the government out, right? They're trying to throw BB out. So the reality is we really don't know what majority people wants. I mean, it's like, it's like me, as an example. I stand up and I'll say stuff and people get pissed off at me, and I'm fine with that. I don't care. I'm going to say what is true. It may be unpopular, and I don't care because I can stand on my own too. I'll stand in a crowd of people and not care what they think. But most people do care. Most people, they don't want to be bullied. They don't want to have to deal with it. And so if you live in Israel and there is a popular thought and you are thought to be unpopular if you stand up and say this, then you're going to be relatively quiet. So I think we got to think about sociology and how things actually work all over. There are people who stand in certain places, but they don't want to stand up and say anything. So we know that there are, like the rabbi we posted who were saying the Zionist stuff. It has to stop. We can live in peace with the Palestinians. Muslim, Christians, and Jews have lived in peace for thousands of years, and they can. And so there is no question. But there also is no question about, it's like a soldier. When you put it, you can take the most peaceful person on the planet. You give them a gun and you put them in a war environment, they're going to fight, right? So if you have someone in Israel and something violent pops off, then they're going to stand where they are, because this is why you blame the people who make the violent situations, not the people who are victims and pick a safe side in that violence. And so I would say kind of think about it from that perspective. But they're always trying to make things seem a certain way. And just because you have these labels, it doesn't mean most people in that country or in that group actually believe any of the crap that the leaders are talking about. It just means that the leaders have the microphone. That's what I think. So I see stuff like that, and I trust Abby's sister. She is off the hook. But the reality is there's no way we can survey everybody in an environment. And as long as there are people in Israel saying our government's corrupt, this has got thousands of people, we should listen to that. As long as there are thousands of Palestinians saying they're stealing our children, they're putting them in prisons, I think everything from rape to abuse allegations of these little kids in these prisons, that's where 99% of the people around the world say, you know what, this is jacked up. I'm not going to choose a side. This is wrong. I'm going to stand up and say it's wrong. We need to get somebody who's not partial. I don't know if it's Amnesty International. I know people don't like the UN. UN's got some issues, but you got to get someone, an actual in-the-middle peace broker in there. That in-the-middle peace broker is not America. There is nothing neutral about America's stance. The Democrats and I won't say that. The DNC and the GOP have already made their voices known. They want Jerusalem to be the capital, and that's what they all voted for. So you need an impartial side. Speaking of impartial, South Korea. So what if Putin came out? Y'all don't like Putin. I like Putin. Y'all like Putin. I like Putin. You know why I like Putin? I like Putin because he makes certain people look like they're foolish. And I remember back in the day when American leaders were smart enough that they actually looked smart too. What did Putin say? Watch this. I love Putin. He's something else.
I want to go somewhere away from it all.
I love you some Putin. Hold on. Where is it? Right here.
President Putin believes the one and only way out of the Korean crisis is dialogue, no matter how hard it may seem. The Russian leader gave his view while talking to a panel of Russian journalists.
Yeah, crazy that sound. That sound insanity. You hear what he just said? He said the only way out of the North Korea crisis is dialogue. That sounds like some terrorism. Ain't that terrorism, y'all? That's crazy. Because America ain't never say nothing like that. Dialogue? What the hell is dialogue? No. Only way out is to threaten and yell and scream and send some drones and bombs. He said, this is why. Now, I know I got friends from Russia. Putin corrupt as everybody. He just dirty, nasty. But that man is a politician. That man, he knows how to make America look dumb. He knows how to make the West look stupid. Because we say stupid stuff. He says stuff. Dialogue, that's just, you realize 99% of the people in the United States of America, that's what they do every damn day. Somebody steals their stapler at work. They don't go murder them. They actually talk to the person. Imagine if American leaders were smart as 99% of the people in America who just talk to solve problems. People talk to their neighbors. He said dialogue. What the hell is dialogue? I'm in America. We don't know what that is.
Gaziev was listening in for us.
It seemed like a vicious, unbreakable cycle. The North launches ballistic missiles. The United States and South Korea respond with ever more frequent war games. The North launches another ballistic missile, more war games. But this cycle is now on pause. And this competition between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, well, Vladimir Putin says that there's a clear winner.
Kim Jong-un has definitely won this round. He's achieved his strategic goal. He's got a nuclear payload, a long-range missile that can reach any place that he sees as an enemy. Now he wants to calm the situation. He's a well-rounded and intelligent politician.
I know some of y'all all upset. They said we lost. We didn't lose. We didn't lose. Yes, you did. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you lost. Kim Young doing some dumb ill. He is smarter. He played the chess pieces right. And the other thing I'll say is I will trust what Russia has to say. I will trust what I don't know if American intelligence said it. I think they kind of indicated it. But Kim got his weapon, and he has a delivery system. That may not work, may only work on Wednesdays when it's not raining, but he has it. And Russia's saying it too. He can hit any of his enemies that he wants to, which means the game is over. He won. He will have his folks go to the Olympics. South Korea wants to talk peace. They will talk peace. CIA is flipping out all over the place because the corporations that run them are all pissed off. They can't go start another war and sell a whole bunch of bombs, kill a bunch of people. So, and I don't know if North Korea has minerals, but the corporations that run the CIA, they want to make a whole lot of money. So I'm going with this analysis. I think it's true. I think it's right. I think that he does have the missiles. He does have the nukes. He can hit any of his enemies he wants, which means that effectively the Western world is not coming to take what they have, because the Western world only picks on people that got rocks and sticks and live in caves, ride on camels, and don't have the ability to actually fight back. Now North Korea can fight back. The game is over. So I think that we can put that one to rest. I hope. Yes, Brother Harley, he's corrupt, but he's honest. And corrupt, to me, corrupt might be okay if you're honest. I think the issue I have with people is when they don't admit up to what they are, right? Don't tell me like I don't like a liar. I don't like the liar. Just be honest. If you don't like me, just say you don't like me. I'm good with that. I know what I can do with that. Right? But the people who pretend like they like you, the people who pretend, those are the ones that are dangerous. So I love the fact that he's just flat out raw. North Korea won that one. They won that match. America, North Korea won, America 0. Swallow it. You're not going to get your war. Yes, our dialogue is an AK-47, Mary. And the shame is it usually is an AK-47 like faced at a kid. Like it's somebody who can't fight back. And when I say we, I know it's not we. It's not 99% of the people. 99% well, okay, no. There is a large portion of 99% that are sellouts, and they don't get what the hell is going on. Or they're scared because they've accumulated some wealth or they got a job or something, and they're scared to walk away from it. But the majority of people understand that this is crazy. The majority of people understand that this has got to come to an end. The majority of people, I think, understand that they don't have any say in government. It's just the foolish people who get microphones and who speak very loudly say dumb things like, oh, we're going to run somebody else for president. That's going to fix everything. Don't forget the co-author of Blowing Up Russia, Alexander Litvinenko, who was poisoned with T-spike. So no, I'm not saying that I'm not saying Putin's a good guy. Like I said, I have friends from Russia. They say he's a dirty guy. But the reality is he knows how to play this world politics game. He's playing it well. He's standing up for the bees, for goodness sake. Why can't America stand up for the bees? That kind of pisses me. But why can't the West say something good about the bees? He's standing up against GMO. He's standing up against spam pesticide on all the foods. Like, he's standing up for that. He's actually saying the smart things. He gets it. You know, he pays attention to American, probably alternative news, and understands that most Americans aren't blithering idiots, you know, like all of their leaders ever. Probably not because they're dumb, but because they're told what to say. I don't want to hit anybody's identity politics, but he gets that. And so he knows how to talk to Americans, and American leaders don't talk to Americans because they don't give a damn, because they're not going to change. They have the world the way they want, and they don't need anybody in America's help because people are so divided. So they could care less about what Americans think. All right. See if there's anything else I kind of missed. I found it interesting that Dr. Paul Ron's talking about a crash that's coming. He was talking about how it's an illusion that the economy is better, that, you know, every administration, they try to make it look like there's no crash coming in America. Why is that important to Americans and around the world? Well, because the world is still based on the dollar being the reserve currency. And what happens in America on a significant crash level will affect the rest of the world significantly. People, get your seeds, grow some food. Learn how to take care of yourself. Learn how to find water. Learn how, get yourself some beans and stock them in some shells. You know, depressions always come. Currencies reset. Every fiat currency has always failed. Every civilization that's ever happened has gone through some sort of reset. Bad times are ahead. And when people who were on the inside, like Ron Paul, when they start to say, we got a crash coming, we got a crash coming. Something is coming. I'm not sure if it's going to be zombies walking in the streets. I hope not. But take care of yourself. You need to get to a point. I'm always telling people you got to get to a point. Maybe you don't need to get to a point. You need to be able to survive. You need to be able to take care of yourself. And if you can't take care of yourself, you will be the victim in whatever all of this nonsense is becoming. Even brothers like Chris Hedges talks about America's an empire in convulsion, that the empire is falling. Even Abby Martin talks about it. So when the people who really get where all this is going and they get the signs of the early signs of some sort of a collapse, you need to pay attention to the smart people. You need to figure out how to take care of yourself. You need to think about getting a little piece of land somewhere if you live in the city, somewhere you can go where you can just chill. It might be a couple weeks, you know, it might be a month or so till things get back up, you know, but whatever's coming, it's not going to feel good. It's going to feel a hell of a lot worse to people who can't take care of themselves. But this was a, you know, and it's not a doomsday prepper thing. It's a skills thing, right? You don't want to be dependent on people who don't know you. You don't want to be dependent on your government. You don't want to be dependent on your political party. You don't want to be dependent on these leaders who won't call you, text you back, don't give a damn what happens to your kids. You want to be dependent on your own ability to take care of yourself and your children and your family. And that's where we are. We're in a place where people need to start going back to thinking about skills and how to can some food, how to grow some food, possibly even how to hunt, for those of y'all who do that. Me, it depends on how bad it gets, right? I'm a vegetarian, but, you know, you do what you got to do to survive when things get bad. That's why we drink milk anyway, right? Because one day in the desert, someone was going to die, and they decided if they suck on the nipple of the camel or the cow, that they could actually get some milk. And so you do what you have to do at bad times. But if Ron Paul is talking about a crash is imminent, I'm not going to ask the question, when is it coming? I'm not going to ask how bad is it going to be. All I'm going to do is start to figure out some of the things my grandparents knew about how to look out for yourself. And I think that, yes, Sandra, yeah, you know, and Sandra said, stop living little, you know, start living little, not large, right? You know, start living low maintenance. You know, the less maintenance you require, the easier it is to make it. A lot of people are minimalizing. They're shrinking down. The McMansion, people in McMansions, you're going to die. Like, if something really bad happens, and I hope it doesn't, but something really, really bad, and it's just not like a minor reset, minor crash, and you can't afford heat in your McMansion, you're not going to make it, right? Right. If you live in the north and it gets down to freezing, it's time to move out of the McMansion and actually downsize, get a smaller place, get something that's more sustainable. You know, and even with the idea that something's not going to collapse, downsizing is better for the environment. Downsizing is smart. Downsizing is less maintenance anyway. Why in the heck do you want to clean 5 bathrooms? I never got that. My weekends, I want to do something on the weekend. Why in the heck you want to clean 5 bathrooms on the weekend? That makes no sense. Oh, because you hire some slave to come and do it for you? You pay a housekeeper to come in? Okay, all right. So I think we got to think about sustainability. We need to keep pushing in that direction because you never know what's going to happen. And there is that slight chance that by a large portion of the 99% population starting to live more minimalistic and more sustainable, maybe a crash doesn't have to come. You know, maybe it's just a drop in profit for these massive corporations and they lose power in our government and our government actually gets back to making their own decisions again. That could be possible too. So the Deutsche Bank is predicting that the Fed will raise the rate 5 times this year. Ooh, huge red flag, people. Yeah. So we don't know. You know what? The things that I think about, Kathy, when I see that, I always thinking about, you know, what the kings would do to get support for the military, right? Like America is the bank security force of the world. Like that's what we are. We're, you know, they say we're an oil company with a military. I think that's kind of true, but not completely true. I mean, you think about, you know, American support for Chiquita Banana, murdering a bunch of people in South America, right? Like, yeah, that really happened. Look it up. So various corporations use America as a military. Banks and pharmaceutical industry, mineral companies, cell phone companies, you know, they use America as a military. And the poorer America is, the more desperate Americans are, the more Americans will go get a job as a drone pilot. The more Americans will join the military. The more Americans will do those things. And so the way that you actually utilize America as a military more effectively to do the most immoral, unethical, and evil things on the planet is you collapse their economy. If you allow their economy to collapse and you allow such massive job loss, Americans are going to do what they have to. If they got to join the military to eat and feed their families, that's exactly what the majority are going to do. And so I think it's just, you know, possibly the banks, the oligarchs, the corporations that run the world are just kind of letting America fall into what it's supposed to. They want America to be their thugs. And this is what will happen if we don't actually start waking up, stop dividing and fighting each other over silly stuff. Brother Harley asked, do I listen to Joe Rogan? I love Joe Rogan. I don't always catch his podcast. I do when I can. Love the brother. Don't always agree, but you know, with some of the things he says is very true. Especially when it comes down to, he's a very logical thinker, critical thinker. Always listen to people who are using critical thought. Always listen to people who are wrong, and he's wrong all the time. And he admits when he's wrong, and he upgrades when he is wrong. But when it comes down to hunting, right? Like, yeah, if you're gonna eat meat, you should probably hunt for that meat, right? You want to eat something that's wild and significantly healthier. I may be super raw, vegan, vegetarian, and all of that, but in hard times, Brother Harley, something I said in an old video, if you come to visit me, don't show up on a horse. I can be vegan as I want to be. I love animals, y'all. I've had all kinds of animals, from snapping turtles to reptiles to fish and mice and gerbils, and I love animals, love them to death. But if I'm starving, don't come to my house with no horse. You're going to be walking home. That's bad. I know. People are like, he's going to eat horse. My equestrian people flipping out. You know, but I accept the reality of situations. And the reality of the situation is human beings in desperate times will do anything. No one in their no equestrian horse lover in their right mind will sit there and watch their child starve while the horse walks around. And we've all seen it all throughout history. So the answer is, don't be mad at me because I said I'm going to eat a horse. Let's fix the system, right? Let's get back to getting the wild out of the world, right? Like we were talking about dogs and wolves. We've solved wolves' scarcity. Wolves are now dogs. Well, those dogs are. They're happy. They wag the tail when you come home. The man's best friend. They don't have any problems or issues. We can do that for humanity. So how about we do that for humanity? And a neat thing about abundance for humanity and solving scarcity is, one, it takes the wild out of humans. It takes the violence and the war out of humans. But then we can take that out of all the other species too. And I think that's where this plan is supposed to be going. I think the lion only hunts because it has to. Like the lion in the zoo, when a lion in the zoo has all the food it wants to eat, it doesn't hunt. When the bear, because everything is a resource negotiation, right? And this gets down to cellular, how cells work in microbiology. Everything is resource based. The bear doesn't go after the biggest, strongest moose. The bear goes after the weakest, smallest moose. The one where he utilizes as little energy as possible to get his maximum energy. Like life is all about collecting energy. And if human beings have all the energy they need, food, water, electricity, house, all that stuff, you can't get them to do anything violent. That's why I kind of agree with what the Dr. Paul is saying, is that, yeah, there probably is some sort of a crash coming. There's some sort of bubble reset. We saw it with the Wall Street, the housing market could be on the way. Brother Kevin said we should live within our means to support sustainability, not out of fear or desire, but to be self-sufficient. The price of modernity is interdependent. I can't see everything, but so spot on. You always are spot on, though, Kevin. You always hit it. We should be living within our means. We should be living sustainable in a way that we are least empowering the most evil people on the planet, but also in a very humble, easy way where we can be more self-sustaining. It's hard to be self-sustaining if you're high maintenance. It's significantly easier if you're used to less. Nothing wrong with less, y'all. Less actually is good. Less is more. I'm trying to tell you, less is. I used to live ignorant, worked for the big corporations, just spent money everywhere, lived ignorant, bought all the drugs and everything, the pharmaceutical drugs. And life is really difficult when you have more. When you have less, it actually is more, because then you start to focus on the things that really matter. You actually start to smell the roses. You have time to look at the roses. You can see the roses. Damn it, you might even buy a rose seed. But when you focus on the things in life that are more rewarding, life gets real good. It gets real good. The stress goes away because now you don't have the McMansion. You don't have all the car payments. You don't have all this stuff that you didn't need. And you just sit there and you can make money and just, I guess you put it in the bank if that's what you do, but you just live life. It's a crazy thing just to live life, just to breathe and be at peace and not have the stress of something's coming. And that's why some of the most stressed people in the world are the 1%, because they're so fearful that the 99% is going to come and try to take what they have, which is part of the problem we get into when people blame the 1% in terms of it's their fault and we need to take what they have. It's not their fault, and we don't need to take what they have. We have the automation to do it on our own, and they have a role in what's wrong with the world, just like we do. They have a role from an ignorant perspective, and we have a role from an ignorant perspective. We're 99%. The world is the way it is because we allow it. And when we stop allowing it, I think anything's possible. Anything is possible. But it's our choice. We have to step up and decide that spreading poo all over the world is probably a bad idea unless you're a sanitation company. So America, Western world, let's join hands, do some s'mores by the fire, and let's stop being the world sanitation company. Listen, this was Gerard. Y'all have a great day. Love y'all to death. Maybe I'll come back this week and we'll talk about some ancient archaeology or some crazy stuff. I don't know. Y'all have a good day. Happy Friday.